Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. My name is Ann Noonan, and I'm honored to serve as the Executive Director for the Committee for U.S. International Broadcasting. CUSIB has no budget. We are an all-volunteer nonprofit organization that continues to support journalism for media freedom and human rights. Our organization was formed 7 years ago when the BBG planned to eliminate Cantonese and Tibetan services. This year, CUSIB is asking again for assurance by the BBG governors that the budget will not include any reduction or elimination of Voice of America's Mandarin, Cantonese, and Tibetan services, including shortwave and medium wave radio, television, and internet services. We would like to know the status of BBG management to finally hire a VOA Chinese branch chief and projections about the hiring process for the new Cantonese and Mandarin service chief. This will affect the operation and long-term planning for both the VOA's Cantonese and Mandarin services to counterbalance China's propaganda machine. People in Hong Kong and China know the VOA brand name and know how VOA represents the opinion from the United States. It is important to remember that Voice of America broadcast services are separate and distinct from the surrogate broadcasting provided by Radio Free Asia. As China's government continues to commit unspeakable crimes against Tibetans and Uyghurs, it is necessary for Radio Free Asia's funding and support to increase. I'd like to speak a little about concerns that may exist regarding any possible conflicts of interest that could impact decision-making and the quality of content broadcasting here at the BBG. These include how decisions are made about who should be interviewed and who should be hired or fired, and about how much funding from the overall BBG budget is taken from journalists and put into administrative processes. If there are any BBG governors or person in management at the BBG who have business investments in China, who are accountable to shareholders invested in China, or whose spouses may have investment in China, I wonder if you will refuse to turn a blind eye to the oppression and genocide against Tibetans and Uyghurs. While Tibetans and Uyghurs are subject to unspeakable genocidal crimes, and one of their only voices is Radio Free Asia, are you too aligned with the authorities who allow these atrocities to occur? Are any of you unwilling to criticize China's government because of its economic power? Sadly, I believe that what the Uyghur and Tibetan people are experiencing now is the future that China's underground Catholics face. Are any BBG governors and management unwilling to distance themselves from Islamophobia, which is rampant in the Xinjiang Autonomous Region, where China's government has detained hundreds of thousands of innocent Uyghurs in detention camps, arrested RFA sources who are suppressed and targeted for daring to speak out about human rights matter, and the loved ones of Uyghur journalists who work at RFA. CUSIB applauds Chairman Weinstein for his public comment stating, quote, "The cruel detention and harassment of family members of Uyghur service Radio Free Asia journalists must end," end quote. My call to action to you today is for one of the Board of Governors to make a motion today to be seconded and approved for a resolution appealing directly to the United Nations to address the issue promptly and seek assurances from national Chinese government that there be no further persecution of RFA journalists and their families, and that the whereabouts of RFA family members be made known as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann Noonan, for those comments. On the last item, we are working on a plan with regard to the United Nations. And thank you for flagging that. Thank you for your interest in our work, and thank you for the questions you raised, and we will get back to you. Thank you very much.